He sat quietly in the shelter, head low, while family after family walked past him without a second glance. Nobody wanted the old dog, until one man bent down and noticed the tag on his collar. What he read made his heart race and changed everything. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The shelter was always full of noise, dogs barking, tails wagging, people laughing as they walked past the cages. Families came in looking for the perfect pet. Children pointed at the playful puppies. Couples smiled at the smaller, friendlier dogs. But in the corner cage, one dog sat quietly. He wasn't loud. He didn't jump up against the bars like the others. He simply sat, his dark eyes watching every person who passed by. His coat was a little rough, his face carried a tired look, and his ears drooped. It was clear he had been waiting for a long time. Day after day, families came and went. They picked younger dogs, smaller dogs, or those who barked happily for attention. Nobody stopped at his cage. The staff tried to cheer him up with kind words and extra food, but his spirit seemed heavy. He would lift his head, wag his tail once, and then settle back into silence. The workers at the shelter worried about him. "He's such a good dog," one of them said softly, "but no one gives him a chance." They feared he might never leave. And so, while the world outside was full of love and homes waiting, this dog remained alone, patient, quiet, and forgotten by everyone who walked past. Every time a new family entered the shelter, the dog's eyes would light up with hope. He would slowly stand, wag his tail just a little, and wait. Maybe today would be the day someone chose him. But within minutes, the hope in his eyes faded again. People always walked past his cage too quickly. "He looks too old," one person whispered. Another family frowned. "He doesn't seem playful." Some children even pulled their parents away, scared of his serious face and quiet nature. Nobody saw the gentle soul inside him. They only saw a dog who looked tired, a little worn, and not as cheerful as the others. The puppies were full of energy, barking and jumping with joy. Compared to them, this dog seemed invisible, as if he didn't belong there at all. The staff knew the truth. He was calm, loyal, and kind. He never growled, never snapped, never caused trouble. He just sat patiently, waiting for a second chance. But sadly, most people wanted excitement, not silence. They wanted cute, not quiet. And so, cage after cage emptied as other dogs found homes, while he remained behind. Families left smiling with their new pets, but he stayed in his corner, watching the door close again. Each goodbye felt like another rejection. One cold afternoon, the shelter doors opened again. A man walked in, his hands tucked in his jacket, his eyes scanning the rows of cages. Like everyone else, he was searching for a dog. The workers smiled politely. They had seen this before. People usually went straight to the puppies, but this man was different. He walked slowly, taking his time, pausing at each kennel. Some dogs barked loudly, some jumped, begging for attention. He smiled at them, but didn't stop. Then, in the corner, he noticed the quiet dog sitting alone. The dog didn't bark. He didn't jump. He just sat with those sad, waiting eyes. Something about him made the man pause. He stepped closer to the cage, kneeling down so their eyes met. For the first time in days, the dog wagged his tail softly. The man's heart ached. "Why is no one looking at you?" he whispered. He reached through the bars gently, letting the dog sniff his hand. The dog pressed his nose against it, as if saying, "Please don't walk away." Then the man noticed something unusual. Around the dog's neck was a worn blue collar. Hanging from it was a small metal tag. Most people had ignored it. But the man leaned closer, his fingers brushing it, and when he read the words on the tag, his eyes widened in shock. The man held the tag carefully, his fingers shaking a little as he turned it toward the light. The words were scratched, but still readable. It said, "If you're reading this, my name is Max. I had a family once. Please love me, too." His heart sank. He read it again, slower this time. The tag wasn't just an ordinary name tag. It carried a message, one filled with loss, love, and a silent plea. This wasn't just a dog in a shelter. This was a dog who once had a home, a family, and someone who cared enough to leave these words behind. The man looked at Max. The dog's sad eyes seemed to mirror the pain written on the tag. Suddenly, Everything made sense: the quiet behavior, the waiting, the way he never begged for attention. Max wasn't just unwanted. He was grieving. He was still waiting for someone to see him the way his first family once did. The man felt. His chest tightened. Around him, people walked past, not even glancing at the lonely dog. But he couldn't move. He couldn't unsee those words. Max licked the man's fingers softly, as if asking, "Do you understand now? Will you give me another chance?" In that moment, the man knew. He wasn't going to walk away. The man stood up slowly, still holding the tag in his hand. His decision was already made. He turned to the shelter worker and said firmly, "I want him." For a moment, the worker's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you sure?" Nobody has ever picked Max before. The man nodded without hesitation. "I'm sure." When the kennel door opened, Max stepped out carefully, almost uncertain. It was as if he didn't believe this moment was real. His paws touched the ground, and he froze, waiting to be sent back inside. But instead, the man crouched down, opening his arms. Max leaned forward, sniffing gently, and then pressed his head into the man's chest. His tail wagged slowly, then faster, as though a spark of hope had finally returned. The shelter workers watched quietly, some even wiping away tears. That night, Max entered his new home. At first, he paced the rooms nervously, his ears alert, his body unsure. But when the man placed his old blanket by the fireplace and whispered, "This is your home now," Max curled up on it, his eyes finally closing in peace. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't just a forgotten dog. He was loved again. The weeks that followed, Max began to change. The quiet, forgotten dog slowly turned into a loyal friend. He wagged his tail when the man came home, followed him around the house, and even rested his head on his lap during the evenings. It was clear, Max finally felt safe again. The man often thought about the tag on Max's collar. He told friends and neighbors the story of how every family had rejected him, how nobody gave him a chance, and how a few simple words had revealed the truth about his past. People were moved. Some even visited the shelter to adopt other dogs that had been overlooked. The shelter staff were overjoyed when they heard about Max's new life. "He was always special," one worker said with a smile. "He just needed someone to see it." For the man, Max was more than a pet. He was a reminder that love is not always found in the obvious places. Sometimes it's hidden in the quiet, waiting for someone to notice. Looking at Max asleep by the fire one evening, the man whispered, "You weren't rejected. You were just waiting for me." And from then on, Max's story was no longer one of sadness, but of hope, second chances, and the power of compassion.